Hi, this is Gary. You're watching a tutorial on how the poker economy works. I'm going to go ahead and shrink that down here. First, we're going to start off with the most common types of games that are spread. First off, there's 1-2, no limit. Most buy-ins go anywhere from 50 to 200. Some go higher. Next, there's 3-6 limit, which is occasionally spread at casinos. Then there's 2-5, no limit, and up. Like your 5-10 games, they don't spread every day. In my opinion, 1-2 no limit probably has around 50% of the market share. We also failed to mention pot limit Omaha, and well, those are the most common types of games that are spread. Now, 1-2 NL is going to be our main focus here. You can kind of blend in some of the other games to count for that, but 1-2 basically runs mostly at like the charity rooms and casinos. The 3-6 and 2-5 have some similar properties in terms of money flow, so we can probably factor those into our assumptions. Now, a typical 1-2 NL game has a rake of 10% up to $6, and we're going to use some assumptions here. The first assumption is that we get about 30 hands in per hour, and if you factor in 30 hands per hour at $6 a hand, that 30 times 6 comes out to be approximately $180. However, we can't use that 180 number because not every pot is max raked. So we need to make some adjustments on that. And one of the adjustments we'll make is that we'll just assume $100 an hour, and we won't factor in tips. Now, the 30 hands an hour, some dealers are faster and vice versa. But we're going to use the $100 an hour assumption because this is a nice easy number and it's pretty close to what the reality in most cash games is. Now, when a bunch of poker players get together for a game, there's a lot of different playing styles. I'm going to go ahead and list all those styles here. Now, these styles converge. Some of them do good against certain styles and do bad against others, and then there's obviously some players that are able to adapt and adjust, but it's difficult. But they converge when a bunch of players get together, and then we have this thing called variance, where some of the people that might have won end up being losers, and some of the people that might have usually lose end up being winners. Now, some players' styles will change over time. Some players adapt and get better. Some of them adapt and get worse. Some of them run good and their style drifts and they start making mistakes that get exploited by others. And obviously, some will run out of money. Now, what we're going to do here is take a look at how an average hour of a hypothetical 1-2 NL game goes. And I'm going to give an example here. Now we have 10 different players in this example, from players A through J. Now they all buy in for different amounts. One buys in for 400, one buys in for 50. And the question is, what happens to their stacks an hour later? So 1 hour later, there's 3 stacks that are completely decimated, and there's a couple of stacks that are actually ahead. And when we take a look at the P out, you can see the numbers there. Player A is minus 325. Player C is plus 200. Player H is plus 375. And the rake is actually up 100. So there's 100 that's out of the game. And essentially what we have is we have $1,500 in buy-ins and $1,400 in money left, and that $1,400 is basically recycled into the game for the next hour unless a player decides to leave. Now, breaking down our example further, we have 3 winners and 7 losers, so approximately 30% of the players were ahead that hour. The 3 winners had buy-ins for $350, and their stack increased to $1,100 or $1,125. So their net profit loss was $775. The 7 players who lost, bought in for 1,150 and are down to 275, so their net loss is 875, so they lost about 100 something each. And obviously the Rake won $100. Now, some of these three winners might have won due to positive variance, and some of the 7 people that lost or broke even might have actually lost due to negative variance. We don't know that, but it averages over time. If we take a look at the charities here, Charity A is open for 10 hours, and they average 2 tables. And then there's Casino A, which is open 24 hours a day. We'll say the big casino averages 20 tables. Now, one of the things about a casino that's different from a charity is a charity closes, meaning all the players have to leave at the end of the night. Most of the players that are leaving are ahead, or a decent portion of them, because they've been lucky that day. Where a casino, they're open 24 hours, so a player could stay there and another winning player could stay there, and when you put all the winning players together, somebody has to lose. Now, the next part we're going to take a look at here is approximately how much rake they take in for being open. If a charity's open for 10 hours and they average 2 tables, that is 2 times 10 times 100, which comes out to $2,000 rake. And if a big casino was open 24 hours and their average is 20 tables, let's say when they're really busy they got like 38 tables, when they're slow they got 6, we'll figure an average of 20 tables. 24 times 100 is 2,400, and 2,400 times 20 is 48,000. So between Charity A and Casino A in one day, 50,000 in rake is taken out of the poker economy. For this segment, I drew a fictitious map of a region. It could be states, countries, what have you. And the blue ones are going to be charities, and the red ones are going to be casinos here. Now, we're going to use 8 different charities, as you can see the dots there, and we're going to use 4 different casinos, and that's all going to come into my spreadsheet here, which I have made up some numbers that are probably somewhat close to reality based on my experience. And as you can see, the bottom line there's about approximately $130,000 in rake, 129 actually, coming out of the poker economy. And what that means is if there's 130,000 coming out in one day, that means in 30 days there's 3.8 million coming out, and in 1 year there is approximately 47 million. It might go up or down depending on how big the poker economy gets or shrinks, and also some of the rake and tips actually goes to dealers, which will stick it back in the game most of the time. For this next segment, we're going to make a lot of assumptions. We're going to assume the average player plays 44 hours, and there's 66 tables, and there's 14-hour average per table being open. The total number of hours is 8,118, and that gives us a player pool of around 2,030. That's assuming 9 players per table. Now, the next question is, what percentage of these players are profitable? And that is actually a pretty good question. I would say anywhere from 10 to 25% on a given day. If we did 10%, that'd be 203. We do 20%, it'd be 406, and so forth. For the next example, we're going to assume 20% of the players are profitable. That means 80%. We'll assume lost 300 each, and I don't necessarily like the 80% losing, so we'll go 60% lost, 300 each, and the other 20% were break-even-ish. So that gives us 406 winners, 406 break-even, and 1,624 losers minus the 406 number there. Now back to our 406 winners, and then 20% break even. That's 406. That leaves us with 1,218 losing money. We're going to assume they lose 300 on average, which comes out to 365,400. If you remember from our earlier example, we had about 130,000 in Rake, or 129 in Rake. So that leaves us with $236,000 profit for the 406 winners, which comes out to an average of 582 per winner. Now the winners in this example for that day, they won probably due to two reasons. First being skill level. Sometimes it's a relative skill level. They were just better than their relative competition. Other times they could be absolute skill level, where they're just really, really good. Most of the time it's going to be relative skill level. The other item is variance. Winners might have had positive variance, where somebody that normally wins had bad variance and they broke even or had a small loss. So that is how you get the winners of the 582 for that day. And obviously it's going to change day to day, and those winners will typically spend it on, food, gas, lodging, what have you, and some of that money gets recycled into future games. And if it's winners against winners, that shrinks the poker economy. And the only way to keep the poker economy going is to have the the people that work and stuff keep coming in and spending money. Now, one of the advantages of places that have just charities and no casinos is that a lot of the people like to gamble bigger would have to go to a casino, and it might take 2 to 3 hours to drive down there, where they could just go play at a charity game and they'll actually lose a lot less. If they lose maybe $500, $1,000 or $1,500 at a charity game, that's still much better than losing $5, $10, $20, $30,000 at a casino playing blackjack or baccarat or so forth. And hopefully this gave you a good overview of how the poker economy works, and that is the end of the tutorial for today. Thank you.